All right, we are live. It's Wednesday, March 29th. It's 10 a.m. Eastern Time instead of the usual 11 a.m. We're mixing it up just for people to be able to come to this show at a different time than it usually is, so that those who can't always make it can, hopefully now, uh, as if 1 hour is going to make a big difference for everybody. But we're just trying. We're just getting started, and we're going to do a different format today. We're not doing a whole lot of news. We're going to do Ask Me Anything. People have submitted a bunch of questions in the Discord. That is at nomeatathlete.com/Discord if you want to join in the fun. All right, Doug, I've brought you in Instagram. How's it going?
It's the Wednesday show. It's the Wednesday show, and you can ask us anything.
Okay. All right. I like it. Nice little song there to get us going.
Yeah.
The threat was that we'd have a ukulele performance with you having a cough drop in your mouth the whole time if there weren't a lot of questions, and people did respond to that.
People stepped up.
They did. They submitted them.
So we put the fear in everyone, and
we sure did.
And they took action.
Definitely. Yeah. So if you're watching this on Instagram, you can go over to YouTube if you would like. It's better over there. YouTube.com/nomeatathlete. And that's where we'll probably read questions from Instagram too. If you're here in either of those places, feel free to submit questions. We're going to start with the ones that are in Discord, but we'll pull from the live ones too. That's part of the fun here, where we haven't seen the questions before. I did see the ones that were in Discord, but I tried not to really prepare any answers or anything, just so that we can be spontaneous. That's kind of the fun of this.
Spontaneous.
There you go. Is that from what's that from? Some sort of
I don't
show
know.
or something?
I don't know. Okay. I think I'm just in a good mood today.
Okay, well, good. I like that. We need that kind of energy. Danielle P is here. She has been talking a lot in Discord recently. I like that. Bianca, always fun to have Bianca with us. I guess that the hour early affords us a little bit of Bianca time, which is nice.
Yeah, listening while she's running.
Yeah. Mr. Jeffrey is here. He had a question that he submitted, a hard one, actually. Dale Stevens says it's early. It is early. I did the early wake up today. We had the foster dog sleep in our bed last night. First time we've tried that with me. We've actually been sleeping in separate beds during this situation. But that led to an early morning wake up because the cat came in and the dog got excited and so then I went back to sleep, and then I actually just woke up like not all that long ago after the early wake up, and I was planning it for the morning show at 11. Found a bunch of news, and I was like, hey, this is a good news day. We've been saying there's not that much news recently. Today there was plenty of good stuff. Italy banning bugs in their pastas, and this woolly mammoth thing, which we could talk about today. The new study, all kinds of stuff. So we'll do that all tomorrow. And luckily the show is mostly planned for tomorrow. But thankfully I remembered that we were doing this thing. And anyway, just a little earlier than usual, but that's fine.
So someone did, I don't remember if this was one of the actual questions, but someone was looking for an update on the on the dog. So what's the deal?
I have her in the room with me here.
Oh,
I've been delaying because she, like I said, the first few days that she was not camera ready because she had just been spayed before we got her. She's been traumatized in some way. She doesn't have front teeth. I think she was caged for a long time. She hates going in the crate. So she's very shy, very submissive. She shies away from the cat all the time. So anyway, I just, I don't think she's going to be too photogenic, so I haven't been that eager to bring her on it, but I'll try. Come here, Maisie. Come here. Come on up here. She doesn't really want to stand up. Come here. I got it. So she's very nice and sweet. And she just kind of freezes up. Uh-oh. Sorry, Maisie. Look, that's the camera. This is the show. So she just sort of freezes up. Oh, she's not really on Instagram. There we go.
Hi.
So she's nice.
She's adorable.
Friendly. She is. And she's opening up as we, as she gets some more normal activities and gets to go for walks and has food and is loved by people. So it's been good. And this is what fostering, I think, is about, kind of seeing them grow a little bit, and then you got to say goodbye, which is hard. But are you done? So that's all.
Doing the hard part, the transitional hard part.
Yeah, I mean that'll be hard. I mean it is hard, but then the goodbye, of course, is hard. Harder for Erin than me because Erin is, she takes more of the responsibility on. So anyway, that's that. Yeah. So, but I appreciate whoever asked for the update. I had kind of forgotten that I said I was going to bring her on. Who was that? Let me find it real quick. It did get
lots adorables and sweet puppies and lots of cute comments coming in.
That's why I do it. That's what I want.
What's her name? What are you calling her?
Maisie.
Maisie?
Yep. Like corn, maize. Named after you, Doug. After your dietary preferences.
Yeah. my most consumed food. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah. That was Demouse or Demuse, I don't know, in Discord who asked that. So anyway, let's see. Where do we start? You want to talk about woolly mammoth meatballs first before we jump in?
Real quick, Kelly H, who we do see on Discord, says she's a teacher on spring break. She's able to catch us today, walking my dog. In fact, appreciate you guys from Chapel Hill. Awesome. Welcome. Glad you could join live.
Very nice. Yeah, definitely. Always good when people can get in here live when they normally can't. All right. So anyway, feel free to submit questions as we talk about this woolly mammoth thing really quickly. Then
talk about woolly.
Yeah. So this is Mr. Jeffrey shared this in Discord first, and then I think Doug said someone else sent it to you.
Yep.
It's from The Guardian. The headline is "Meatball from Long Extinct Mammoth Created by Food Firm," and the headline is exclusive. Australian company resurrects flesh of lost species to demonstrate potential of meat grown from cells. So, whoops, I just hit a button. That's down. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so that's what it sounds like. There's not a whole lot more than that. I think they are going to, the company's vow, they say the project aims to demonstrate the potential of meat grown from cells without the slaughter of animals and to highlight the link between large-scale livestock production and destruction of wildlife and the climate crisis. So when you read that, it immediately, to me, changes the tone. My first thought was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Like, this is people trying to make real paleo meat. And
yeah,
I kind of even like forgot for a second that there's no cruelty involved, that this is like, a total, not a vegan thing. We can't say that, but, they're on our side in many ways. And then they said this project, this idea of bringing back lost species, they're not doing it to sell this woolly mammoth meat, I don't think. Although they did say it's possible that they could tweak the recipe basically and make it more likely to be approved, because apparently with all these extinct animals, the proteins and things that we are not evolved to eat, who knows what that would do to us. So, but they said that they could sort of adapt it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They're doing it to raise awareness, right? To like show that there's this potential.
Right. It's a publicity stunt. Yeah.
Right.
Which I, I'm kind of okay with, like, because it's getting people talking about it. It certainly made a bunch of headlines. I got 2 people sent me the link today. And just like, have you heard about this? Like, this is crazy. And I mean, so it's certainly working in that side. Yeah, it sounds like they took the public gene structure of the woolly mammoth and then filled in any gaps with the African elephant, because that's the most similar known species that's still alive.
Okay.
And then they used a lamb cell to house it or something like that, and then just let it recreate or whatever you duplicate,
right.
Until there was enough to roll it up into a meatball that's somewhere between a softball and a volleyball, which is a pretty big difference. That was the article I read. But they didn't eat it. They said they cooked it up, and it smelled different than anything they had ever smelled before. But they're not going to eat it, which is like, I kind of am a little bummed about it. I would think that they would want to try it, but maybe there's too much concern about what it could do.
Right.
But yeah, it sounds like a publicity stunt, which, I had the similar reaction to you did of like, oh my God, this sounds terrible. Why would anyone do this? What a joke. This is such a distraction. But, I'm kind of into it as like a publicity stunt if there's no cruelty involved, and, just to raise awareness about lab grown meat and cultivated meat.
Yeah, I'm the same way. They said, by the way, that the energy they use is all from renewable sources, and that fetal bovine serum, which is a big part of a lot of this lab-grown meat that people are starting to get away from, thankfully, and the most cruel part that remains in the process, they don't use that part. They don't use that as a growth medium. So that's a great thing. I mean, there's got to be more here, right? They've raised $56 million to date. they're not just doing that out of the goodness of their hearts, raising that money to raise
No, of
awareness,
course
right?
not.
They're
Yeah,
going to
I mean,
eventually make meat.
oh, definitely. Yeah.
Of course. So like, I don't know. I guess like, are they really doing anything good by raising awareness? Do we need to raise awareness? I mean, as soon as there's like lab grown meat in grocery stores, we're going to be pretty aware that's happening, and people are going to be interested. So like, does this really do anything to advance? I don't really know.
Well, so interestingly, one of the people who sent it to me said I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole, which, I mean, obviously, like, anyway, and what it made me think was potentially this is doing harm, like making it seem too
Mm-hmm.
Franken meat, because it's like extinct animals and all this science. Whereas if you're just thinking about taking, uh, some chicken cells and turning that into lab grown meat, then that feels a little bit more like something you understand and can kind of process. So I
Yeah.
did when they said that, I did wonder a little bit if maybe it was doing more harm than good, but people are talking about it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, my first thought was that paleo. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be like a paleo. People are going to want
Yeah.
this now. But like, and that made me at first not really like it. But then I thought, like, I could see certainly there are some paleo people who see this article and like, man, if we could get like tons of that stuff, we could be like real paleo, and then it'd be like the real thing. Whereas if they just saw like, hey, they're cultivating meat cells, they're gonna say, no, I just want to get the real thing. I'm just gonna go get the real, cow.
Yeah.
So at least this is like a little bit of a crack in the door into them eating this, and then they'd be maybe open to continuing to eat meat, but doing it in a cultivated form. I don't know. That seems like a possibility.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like I don't see people like. Well, I mean, not like I've seen a lot of feedback, but it's not like people are that making a fuss about. Oh my gosh, God didn't intend for us to bring these creatures back or this. And I guess that's because we're not bringing back a living creature here. It's just their meat.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's
It
weird.
does feel a little more godlike. You're playing God a little bit more and bringing back.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I don't know.
we created AI robots. I mean, that's sort of like being God, right? We may
That's
have
true.
been
Yeah.
we may have been the AI that was developed by some other species. That's very possible. There you go. Nice.
That's me shorting out.
All right, got it. All right. Okay. So let's get into some questions here. Again, feel free to submit them. We're just gonna run through them, see how far we can get in whatever we have, 45 minutes or so. And I think we can get to all these. We'll be sort of brief if we can. All right, first one that I see that came after the request was this one from Jen Fornell. Is that the right place to start? Yeah, 12:08 p.m. That was very shortly after I said, please ask questions. I'm surprised she was able to type all this in that amount of time. She said, longtime listener. She met me and bought a carrot car magnet at the exact veg fest that Doug met me at. So that's that's a really long time listener. I'm really shocked that people have stuck around for that long. I mean, there aren't many people who have really. That's just so long to be tuned into this. So thank you, Jen. That's amazing. She said, question is more discussion. It's about kids and being plant-based, but not the general tips, which she's heard me say a million times probably, of bringing a cupcake if you go to a birthday party for something.
Yeah.
But deeper questions. Like she says, how do you explain to a very young child, 2 to 4 years old, that you are in general trying to encourage them to try new foods, that they can't try certain foods, right? So you're like, you want them to try things. But you say, this is an exception. You don't try this. You can't try these. She says, at home, I encourage at least try everything, but that's because it's all vegan. At other places, there's meat and dairy options, and she often wants to try things. So, how do I explain that to a super young kid? And then second, and this part maybe I think should be answered first. She said, how do you let the kids have their own journey with this while still adhering to your values? I'm so thrilled, Matt, that your kids are and choose to be vegan, even as they're a little older. My 10-year-old eats that way with us at home, but if given a choice at a restaurant or a family's house, he often opts for non-vegan options, and so on. So, I mean, that to me is the big question, and that a little bit gets to the answer of the first part. I mean, I think you're right in letting them have their own journey, and I think really for me, the best thing you can do, I know people will differ on this, the best thing you can do is not judge the 10-year-old in, I guess, is it
Mhm.
his or her, his decision to choose the non-vegan thing now and then, because he eats it at home and probably doesn't complain too much about it. And I think that's a really well-rounded eater who can understand different perspectives. And I'm sure he understands what he is choosing when he chooses to have non-vegan foods. I would imagine he talks sometimes about the cruelty involved with animal agriculture, even of non-meat like dairy. Um, so like to me, that's a win. Like you did it right there. And now when he's 16 or 18 or whatever, you can make a choice that that reflects that upbringing, and who knows which way it'll be, but you will have allowed him to sort of flourish in my eyes.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand on that second part. Doug, any different thoughts about that part?
Um, no, I mean, my kids are a little bit younger, but I think we have not shied away from talking about being vegan at all. I mean, we from a very young age, we started talking about why why we why we eat plants and why we don't eat meat, and why we the benefits of being vegan, or like what that means, I guess. Not so much the benefits, but what that means, and so that they can kind of begin to understand that even at a very young age. And so now that they're my one daughter is 6, and she's choosing whether to eat vegan or not, and we are definitely leaving it up to her. Of course, at home it's going to be vegan all the time, but I mean, if we're at a restaurant, not so much at a if we're ordering her food, but anyway, at like a party or something like that, like she has the option, and we we're just real transparent about, this is vegan, this isn't. You can make the choice, and 95% of the time she chooses to eat vegan, and sometimes she doesn't, and we don't shame her for it and don't give her a hard time about it. But we found that because we give her that choice, I think um, she feels like she has some freedom in it, and she has some ownership of it, and hasn't really rebelled at all against it. And so, like, if the other day, when we were in Atlanta with Rebecca's family, we were trying to get ice cream, and Eliza's first question was, is there vegan ice cream? About whether we wanted to go. She wanted to know if there was vegan ice cream before she kind of decided if she wanted to go or not. And and there was, and that was great. And but I don't know. I think that giving them, like, talking about it and being like real upfront and open about it, and also giving them some choices, and not, like you said, not shaming them.
Yes. I didn't read the part where she said, I do take heart that he constantly tells his friends at school meat and milk aren't healthy, even in health and PA class. He's argued with the teacher before, which I think is a perfect example of, like, yes, he's choosing some non-vegan foods now and then, but has all this awareness.
Hmm.
I mean, to me, that is a total parenting win. That, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
totally.
kid who is enlightened and gets it. So I think that's great. Now, I realize, like, our advice here is not helpful if you're someone who says my kid's going to be vegan no matter what. And
Yeah.
like, that's the ultimate goal. And if anything short of that, if that's not the ultimate outcome, then that's a failure. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that, fine. It's just that's different from the way I think. So I really don't have any advice there. But I don't think that's Jen's approach here. And then
Yeah.
so then
Well,
go ahead.
and I will say, like, it's a little bit different if you're going vegan and your kids are already 8.
Hmm.
Like, both of our kids. Well, I mean, I guess you weren't fully vegan when Holden was born, but you were vegetarian. Like, he grew up in a vegetarian house, um, and I think my kids did too. So, like, if we were just transitioning ourselves, then I think that having to convince them and educate them when they're older, it would be a little bit harder, a little bit more difficult than if starting them young.
Yeah. And so then the first part of her question, and we'll move quickly here so we can get to the next. She says, how do you explain to a very young child, 2 to 4, that you're in general encouraging them to try new foods, but they can't try certain foods? So that's a question you might remember better than I do, Doug, because that you're closer to that age. I think, in fact, you have one in that age right now. Um, like, I guess for me, I don't think I wouldn't allow them to try certain foods at that age. I think we would have maybe a little bit more, I don't want to say forceful, but trying a little less hard to be totally neutral. We'd have conversations at those ages that sort of showed that, like, this is the side we choose because it's better not to make animals
Yeah.
suffer,
Hmm.
and that this food's healthier. So we'd have all that. If despite all that, my kids still wanted to try something that wasn't vegan, and I think they might have wanted to do that now and then, like a cupcake from my parents. Maybe my parents didn't tell them it was vegan. I forget what it was. But I think I would let them, even then. I would just make it very clear that in that moment that like this is not the normal thing, but it's a special thing. Try it. This is a special instance where you try that and you see what you think, and you see what it feels like to you to eat this food that's sort of outside our norm. I think that's what I would do, or what I did. I don't really remember that well.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't remember. Four, they're old enough to really make decisions on their own.
Right.
Two, my youngest, I mean, we're still making a lot of the decisions for her. I mean,
Yeah.
most of our decisions for her. So like, you know, we don't like if we're at an ice cream shop and she sees chocolate, you know, that's non-vegan and there's chocolate chip that is vegan, we're still going to choose the chocolate chip for her and she's going to be happy with it and not really know a difference.
But what if there is no chocolate chip? What if there's only the chocolate that's not vegan and she wants it?
And no vegan option?
Right.
Yeah, then I mean, I think that, you know, it's just like we're not having ice cream today.
Uh-huh.
You know, we'll have a treat later.
Yeah, I think we did that too.
Yeah, you know, I mean, and you know, she's young enough to where like you just kind of boss
So
her around a little
you
bit.
basically avoid that issue entirely.
Yeah,
at that
right.
young age. I think that's probably why I don't remember us having conflicts, because we just did that. But like you said, age 4, then I think we would start to work in a little bit more of those, letting the kid decide and letting them understand a little bit about the decision.
Yep.
So there you go. Yeah, mostly hands off. I mean, I think some people have argued before that the role of a parent is to influence the child's values, and we do that. But I just never have thought that forcing is really the way to get that outcome that you want. So I don't know. That's how we've done it. All right, Mr. Jeffrey asked this one, and this is a big discussion. This honestly we could discuss at greater length during when an article comes up that relates to it, because I think it is an interesting thing, and I don't actually know where I stand on it. He says, I'm working on a case study for my environmental ethics course, and I'd love to get Matt and Doug's opinion, plus others if they'd like to chime in. What are your thoughts on municipalities or other levels of government banning animal-based meats or banning animal agriculture? He says for the pros, he has animal welfare, environmental benefits, land use benefits. Doesn't have human health listed there, and I guess that's not an automatic consequence because people can still choose unhealthy foods. Con, government overreach, especially in the USA. Some foods are important for particular cultures / discrimination, and the infrastructure would collapse and may not be able to sustain the shift. So, yeah, I mean, I think you've done a good job with the pros and cons. Those are good. I mean, there's economic impact too here that's sort of missing, I think, from the pros. Although he says the infrastructure would collapse or could collapse.
And missing from the pros, I was thinking missing from the cons. I mean, if you were to suddenly eliminate animal agriculture and animal, you know, businesses, then like a lot of people would lose their job. And, you know, depending on where you are, and, you know, Harrisonburg, for example, where you went to college and I went to high school, Rockingham County is the poultry capital of the U.S. or the East Coast or something ridiculous like that. And I mean, there's a lot of people who are supported by that industry. And so, you know, you'd have to make that shift, I guess, first.
Right. So what I meant was more the longer term idea that if animal agriculture takes all these resources, those resources, yes, they are generally the environment, but it's also a costly thing. And that to eventually make it a more efficient manner that doesn't need all these inputs, that can still feed people, that would be a good thing, whether it's meat or not, right? If it's just crops, that's fine too. So that's what I meant. Yeah, I mean, the big thing here for me, I don't like the idea of a government saying this is right or wrong, and you just can't do it. Now, I know that happens in certain situations, and right, we wouldn't tell people that it's okay to murder other people. It just wouldn't be okay, or especially like things involving children, where the children don't have the right to vote, or don't have a voice, essentially. Like you got to make judgments at some point and say this is right or this is wrong, and this is illegal because it's wrong. So I don't know much about, as I said the other day, this stuff I don't think about that much. I just know that if a government suddenly banned animal products, I would be very afraid about, wow, like what else are they going to take away from me, my freedom, even though I'm not someone who eats animal products. I just would be very worried about a government that is that, that willing to take away freedoms. Because this, animal, as much as I think it's wrong, for me personally, like it's been a part of human culture for hundreds of thousand years. So like it would be odd for me if someone said this is wrong. There's all the other stuff. I know the environmental stuff, the economic stuff. Like I think incentivizing is a really good thing to do, and taxing and stuff like that. I think that can be a good thing. But yeah, I just think banning is to me too much.
Yeah, I probably have a slightly different view on government regulations than you do, or a little more liberal on that front. You know, I certainly, there are certain times when I think outright banning of products or items for safety is or for betterment of the community is important. But I agree with you here. This one feels a little bit more different, even though, you know, it would impact so many positive things with around health and environmental benefits and animal welfare and everything else, of course. I just don't know how like it would if California banned animal agriculture, let's say that, it'd be maybe the most likely to do it, right? Like there would, even in liberal California, there would be so much, I think it would be so controversial, and there would be so much backlash because of it. And I just don't know that like our fragile democracy could really handle that right now.
Right.
But I do think, you know, in the similar way that we have a similar approach we've made with cigarettes and tobacco, you know, of course, a lot of people still smoke, and that's still a thing. But there are certain states in particular where the taxing of tobacco has made it to where a lot of people won't even use it anymore, or they've made it so difficult for people to acquire or be able to afford or whatever. You know, it's kind of decentivized tobacco in a way that people just kind of naturally moved away from it. You didn't completely take away their option to use it, but decentivized it. And so if we as a government began to incentivize, both through subsidies or like shifting the subsidies from animal to plant agriculture, so incentivizing farmers to make the switch, then that would be a big thing and help support the environmental or the economic impact of those farmers. But then also, if we it would make everything cheaper, and so then people would just choose to buy that because animal products would be what they actually cost, and which would be way more than a lot of the plant products, and the plant products would be cheaper because they were subsidized. So I think that, you know, if you use taxes and subsidies to incentivize it, like you said, I think that's probably a better approach, at least here in the U.S.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. The interesting thing, and this applies to the last question too, is like with technology going where it is, like we're getting nearer to a point where you don't even have to have a compromise. Like you kind of get the exact same experience in a way that is done without harming the animals and much less harm to the environment. Now, these people are going to lose their jobs still, like that's going to happen, but the same thing's happening with AI and software and all that. Like it's happening slow, not even that slow, but like it is a gradual change that is different from banning of animal agriculture, which would, like you said, it's just not going to happen. It's not realistic because it would be probably a terrible decision with what it would do to so many people lose their jobs immediately. So like the same thing with what are your kid eating meat, like you can remind that kid, or at least you can take heart in the fact that like in 10 years, probably they can make that non-vegan choice without harming animals anymore. And that's a really cool thing that we have that ability. So,
yeah.
Okay. So anyway, that's that. Like I said, we could talk a lot more about that. And I mean, I could stand to learn a lot more about that stuff. I don't really know where I stand on a lot of those things. So anyway, okay, next one. Judy says, do you think you'll ever have guests on or do interviews in the style of the podcast? I mean, I'd like to have guests co-host a show with us. I really don't like doing interviews. I don't like listening to interviews, and I don't like doing them. It's just kind of boring to me. So I don't think we'll ever do that. But if we could have someone come on and like, run through the articles with us in the same style that we usually do the show, I think that'd be fun. I'd like to hear other people's voices and opinions and sense of humor. We are talking about how we've been talking for a while about how to kind of keep No Meat Athlete Radio going. Really now it's get it going again because we haven't done a new episode since like December. But I think tomorrow we're going to do one in the afternoon and just do it in a live format still, but kind of keep it focused on No Meat Athlete topics. So you'll get the notification if you're on the YouTube notifications list or on the Instagram thing. I think you'll see that too. So we'll just record a Nominati Radio in a live format, see how it goes. That could one day become interviews. It probably wouldn't be me conducting them for the most part, just because I'm just not really interested in doing that. But yeah, like I think we'll have some way to have interviewing going on. Anything to add there, Doug?
No.
Okay, then on to Sarah Slemps. You're headed to a potluck, barbecue, etc. What dish do you bring?
I think this is a great question. I'd love for people to chime in on YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, me too. So let's set the situation here. Is it I'm assuming this is not a vegan exclusive barbecue or potluck.
Let's
this
assume
this is Omni's. Okay, so you're there, and you have to bring something that's not just for you, but for other people to share. I assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's do potluck and barbecue different. Separate. Go into a potluck at a friend's house. What are you bringing?
I have not thought about this enough. I don't know.
I'm probably bringing a big bean salad or like bean pasta, like cold pasta dish, with a bunch of beans. Something that it would be filling enough if I got some chips or toast or crackers or whatever to accompany it with hummus.
Mm-hmm.
But could act as kind of a main dish, but would be probably a side for some other folks. Yeah, and would kind of accompany your standard potluck dishes.
Okay, this reminds me. I did this a couple years ago. I don't remember when I was last at one, but this is the last one I remember. What I made was that tortilla española that I like to make, Spanish omelet, where the egg is replaced with chickpea flour, and it otherwise turns out to me as like the same, at least as far as I can remember. So like that would be, and when I did, and you cut that thing up and then put little toothpicks in each square of it on the plate, so you have a nice looking round pie thing, but it's toothpicky and people can take little bits. What I like, I mean, why that was a good choice for me is like it's still an interesting food. It's not something that everyone has all the time, so it's thought of as a good, good contribution.
I like that.
But then, what I wouldn't do is bring like a tofu or a tempeh thing where like a food that's not normal for people takes this kind of starring role. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's egg is replaced here by chickpea flour, but you don't need to really talk about that, or it's not something people notice. It's this potato cake thing. So yeah, I think that would be the move. That's why I wouldn't bring like Beyond Burgers or something that involves tofu or tempeh, or just things that people consider weird. Yeah,
to a potluck. I would. What about Mexican 7-layer dip? There you go. That's what I would bring.
How do you do that? There's like you'd put the vegan cheese and vegan sour cream and stuff?
I don't know. I was thinking about. So I was trying to think of something Mexican.
Okay. Guacamole, I've done to several things like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Make a big guacamole pot or whatever bowl. Yeah.
So we got some responses here. Potluck, Mr. Jeffrey says mac and cheese, barbecue potato salad. Sarah says pasta dish is a great idea. Bianca, big pasta salad or orzo salad. So that's kind of what the approach I was taking. Something easy that tastes good cold.
I've definitely made pesto pasta with potatoes and green beans. And, that's traditional sort of dish. Bring that to a thing. And that's vegan, except for the cheese. It would be vegan as is. So you just put some Parmesan sprinkle or whatever, and then you've got a vegan dish.
Miss Texas Heart, cilantro, lime, coleslaw, and Danielle P, barbecue, black bean, mango salsa, and chips. Sounds good. Yeah. Would you do something different for a barbecue?
I mean, the barbecue, I would possibly, because I somehow would think like everyone else is going to have meat on that grill, I'm going to bring myself some sort of vegan dog or something. And I would probably pick like the Beyond Brat thing, or something like that. But that wouldn't be for sharing. I wouldn't bring that and say, hey, everyone, here's my contribution. If you want some vegan food, or here's a vegan version of that meat. I would just do that for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of same boat. I was going to say something similar.
Yeah. Okay. Meat Time Plant says, I often just do a fruit or veggie tray and make sure the kids and I have something to eat. Yeah, I kind of thought about that too. I thought if you made a big batch of hummus and some veggies, that can be shared. And then you also can eat tons of it if you need to. If all adults, I would do a Mexican bean dip or a pasta salad. So there you go, Doug. Bean dip.
Yeah, there we go. Man on.
Yeah. All right, good question. Again, if you're here live, feel free to submit them. All right, then we had the question about my foster dog, which I did already. All right, Sky Kinsman, frequent contributor. She, by the way, claims that she introduced the Wonder Egg to the Plant Based Morning Show, not Bianca.
Oh,
I've been saying
controversy.
it's Bianca's thing because she came on the show with it,
Yeah.
did a little show and tell. Sky claims she sent an early article before that, I think,
You
showing, or
know,
maybe there's a picture showing that she had it.
this is ringing a bell. And then we talked about it. Bianca heard about it,
Right.
and then went and bought it. Went out
So
and bought it.
Bianca's sort of the villain here. Maybe she kind of tried
Yeah.
to swoop in and become the Wonder Egg queen.
I see.
Yeah, we gotta have Bianca back on for the Friday, like, plant-based junk food segment where she shows all these things that she goes and tries and gets that somehow we don't have access to. All right, so Sky says, when I went vegan in 1995, I basically lived on tofu hot dogs. Can't remember the brand. When you first began, was there a product you really leaned on? Do you still love it? Prefer an updated version? I enjoyed the field roast and other arguably better hot dogs, but I have a soft spot in my heart and stomach forever for Smart Dog-esque early products. I do remember those products. Not very fond memories for the most part. I'm trying to think here. You know what? I do have one. And this is not that old fashioned. This was like circa 2012 is when we were eating this. It was the Gardein fried chicken finger things that, you know what I mean? Like they're not chicken tenders. They're just smaller ones. They're made by Gardein. They have the breading on them. We would just put those in the toaster. And my son Holden ate a ton of those when he was a kid. It was just like one of his favorite foods. Like every kid loves chicken fingers. That was his chicken fingers. And I definitely ate my share of those back then. So I'd say that's mine. But see, that's not really like bad. Like that's still like, that's kind of almost still the standard for plant-based chicken. It just hasn't really evolved that much in 10 years, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm kind of with her on the Smart Dogs or those like really cheap hot dogs. I don't even know what they're made of, to be honest. Soy.
I think they were largely tofu. I think they were
Tofu.
like, they probably weren't even that fake. It was probably just tofu.
I still like because my kids like those over like the Beyond brats and stuff, and so we cook up those anytime we turn on the grill, and I'll always eat one. I think they're kind of good. Just dipping in a little ketchup, it's just like a little treat. I don't know. I'm a fan. So yeah, I don't know. They weren't really a staple when I first went vegetarian or vegan, but I definitely still like them. I would say peanut butter is mine. I relied heavily on peanut butter in the early days, and I still rely pretty heavily on peanut butter. I make a lot of peanut butter toast as a snack, especially around runs. I put it in smoothies. I'll eat a spoonful of it, as we talked about. I like peanut butter on apples. My kids like peanut butter. Peanut butter is a big part of our diet.
Yeah, I mean, peanut butter is great. I like it too. I don't eat that much of it. I actually did this morning. I had a little peanut butter on toast. My daughter has been having that as her breakfast, and most days when I get up, I don't really eat until like much later. But for some reason, when I've been getting up at 6 with her, I just feels good to eat peanut butter on toast at that hour with her. So I've been doing that. I thought of one more here. Well, this isn't really one more. This is kind of the same because I think that Gardein stuff is seitan. But I didn't like seitan all that much in the very early days, so this is not really answering the question. But I really like seitan. Like I just always enjoy it when I make it. It doesn't seem like a gross texture at all anymore to me. And when I have any kind of like fake chicken product that is just made out of seitan, like in a restaurant, for example, I always really enjoy it. I just think it's good.
Yeah, I do too.
Good. All right. And then we've got Happy Cassie. This is the last one in the Discord. So
we do have one over on YouTube as well.
Oh, good. Okay, so we'll get to that next. Happy Cassie says, any tips for starting a consistent running practice? I run off and on, and I always notice an improvement in my mental health, but for some reason, I always fall off the wagon. So, yeah, I guess, I mean, what I don't know is, do the normal habit change tips apply here? Because Cassie doesn't seem to have a problem getting started. It's just getting started and making it consistent, which maybe that is where the habit change comes in. Like it's if you I don't know, like if you just jump right in and it's suddenly a half hour running per day, it's easy to, well, not always easy for everybody, but like you can get started that way. And it takes some amount of willpower because it's not maybe that habitual for you to go run for 30 minutes, but you do it and it feels good and you keep it up for a couple weeks, but then the difficulty of it sort of wears on you and eventually it becomes this thing that's a chore and you're not going to do it. If you start out smaller than that, I think it is easier to make a habit keep going. For example, if you were to try the running streak thing, and you don't have to make it a running streak, but I think that might help to have some little element of challenge in there. And you're starting like really, really small, like 5 minutes, or if that's not small enough, then 2 minutes. But you're doing it every single day, and maybe over every week you add 5 minutes to the length of the run. That got me running again after a long break, and led to a running streak for 75 days or so, and then eventually led to a 100-mile race, which I wasn't planning on doing. It got me back running again. So that's one idea. But just what's good about it is it's very, very easy at the beginning, and you get this time to develop this habit so that it feels like you run every day or most days. And because it's so small, it's like it's not hard to make that last for months. But I don't know. I don't have good answers because I do this exact same thing with meditation, where I can get it going, but then I never make it last for more than a few weeks because I don't feel enough benefits for the time it costs to do.
Yeah. So I like the run streak idea. We're both fans of that. I lost you on.
Yeah, something happened there. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're back on.
Okay. I like the run streak idea. I think we're both fans of that. But maybe another tip would be, let's say you want to just run 2 or 3 times a week. Let's say 3 times a week. Add some structure to those runs so they're not just like, I'm going to run 3 times a week, but on Tuesday I'm going to run with friends. On Thursday I'm going to run at this park. Like drive somewhere and run to a park. And on Saturday I'm going to have it be a little bit of a longer run or a workout or something like that. And so then every day, you have like these 3 things that you're going to do. They have a little bit of structure. They give you a little bit of something to either look forward to or at least to plan around. And then it's less of the like, oh, I need to run today because, I said I was going to run 3 times this week, and just run from the house and be doing the same thing over and over again, where every single run is the exact same. That'll get boring. You'll lose interest in that. So I think giving it a little bit of like, each run serves a different purpose or does a different thing or brings you with new people or takes you to a new place. That to me adds a little bit of creativity, but also a structure that I think is good for keeping you consistent.
That reminded me of one more thing, and this may not be that interesting to Cassie, but for me, the only thing that actually really works and keeps me running for months on end is if I have a race that I'm training for. Like if there's an actual purpose to this running that isn't just like stay in shape or mental health, but it's like there's a deadline, there's a thing coming up. It's going to be really rewarding and fun when I actually do it, and I need to be prepared for it because I certainly couldn't go do that right now. That motivates me and a lot of people. So like that's one. If you haven't tried that, if you've only just been a runner but never a racing runner, and there are a lot of people who just don't consider themselves a race runner, like they just don't think they're a real runner, and they just run for themselves. It's worth considering to see if that would help you.
Yeah,
stay on track. All right, what's the live one? I didn't see the live one.
A couple. Anne Marie's on a yoga streak right now, and then Mr. Jeffrey also gives the advice of a run streak. He did a great one. I forget how long it was.
That's right.
But
over 100 days, I believe, right?
Yep. All right. So the question was from Scott Mulholland.
Okay.
Question for you two: Tofu press necessary or another gadget take up space? We might have differing opinions of this.
Yeah, I really like it, and I've used one for many years now, more than 10 years. Because the first times I used it, I really thought it made a difference, or maybe people told me that it made a difference, and I just believed them. I have questioned this recently. I've said, does it actually make it any different? Or especially now that the air fryers come along and I can just put it in there, and as far as I know, it's going to come out the same whether I press it or not. I think you can't really get a good sear on the tofu if it's not like in a pan, if it's not pressed somewhat. I might be wrong about that. I just haven't tried. So I don't know. I sort of consider it essential, but I will say I've been questioning that recently.
Yeah, we have had a tofu press for probably 10 years, and I could probably count to 10 on the times that I've used it. Katie uses it a little bit more than I do, but my go-to most of the time, almost always, is just take the tofu out of the water, wrap it in a kitchen towel, just let it sit on the counter, on a plate on the counter for a little bit. Never, kind of as I'm chopping up onions or whatever, I'll just like press down on it a little bit with my hand and just kind of, I mean, it's so much liquid comes out of that thing. It just wrapped in the towel, it just kind of sucks it all out. So I'm sure that if I pressed it, it would probably do better, get a little bit drier, but then it oftentimes ends up breaking it apart if I press too hard, or I don't know. I've just never mastered the tofu press, and it seems like then I have something else to clean, and I don't know. Easier if I don't.
So do you have the same kind I do, Tofu Express, where it's spring thing?
Yeah, you like twist the thing down.
So how do you press too hard? I mean, you just put it in there, right?
Oh, mine. Maybe we don't have the same thing. Mine has like little screws that you screw down on it.
Okay, no, we don't have that. I know that one, but that's not a good one. We used to have that. The good old Tofu Express, where it's like a spring lid.
Okay.
I think it's called Tofu Express. Let's see. Yeah, Tofu Express. Just no E, just Tofu letter X press. Wow, $50 at Williams Sonoma for that thing. I didn't realize it was so expensive. It's just a couple pieces of plastic. I don't really like gadgets for sure. It's just one of those things, like it doesn't take up a lot of space, and the cleaning is so simple. We just rinse it as soon as we're done, and it's done. So I feel like the towels and a plate and the something on top of it, like that's more of a hassle, more of a cleaning, more of a project than using the tofu press. So I think that's why I like it. It actually makes it more convenient. I think they probably get the same results. I don't think there's a better. I don't know. I just think it's not much of a bulky item. But I'd be okay if I somehow lost my tofu press. I wouldn't be like dying to replace it.
Well, maybe I just need a different tofu press. Maybe I need a better tofu press.
I think so. I don't think you don't want to deal with those screws.
No, they never works. And then I also like you have to. There's 4 of them, right? And you have to get them all right, or it starts getting all lopsided.
I remember I got a free one of those from somebody. Did you get this free thing too?
Probably. That's probably how I got it.
Okay. All right. Is that it? I think did you say there was another? Or was that it?
That's it. A lot of people supporting the tofu press use it all the time. Oh, here's a question. How many people freeze their tofu before cooking? Do you ever do that?
I've done it only once or twice and found it unremarkable results, and just like a lot of work. Obviously, not work, but just a couple steps you need to think about ahead of time, like soaking the beans. So I haven't really ever found that to be essential. I've heard people say they like it. Danielle P says she likes it. Do you ever do it?
No, never done it. I've seen it recommended. It's like I'm seeing it more recommended right now on TikTok, or like not TikTok, but Instagram Reel recipes. People are talking about it. Mr. Jeffrey says only freeze it for chicken-like applications.
Oh, okay. I was actually wondering what Bianca's thoughts were here, because she has written vegan cookbook, which has a lot of sort of meat substitutes in it from the era when there weren't great meat substitutes on the market. So Bianca had to make up her own ways of doing it. So I'm just wondering if she thinks the freezing method is a great one, or if the tofu press is essential. She does say my Tofu Express broke, and I got a cheap one on Amazon that works great. So that would be a better thing than spending $50, I think, on a Tofu Express. I'm sure we didn't pay that much for it. I thought it was like $20. Maybe the price has gone up over the years. Not sure the brand, she says, but it's white and green. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Any other questions? This is your chance to ask us anything. Although if you're a regular on the show, you have the chance every day to ask us anything, or in the Discord. Hey, Julia Murray's here.
Hey, Julia.
And Morgan, my other person I know, and my son. A lot of people here over on Instagram. People on Instagram, you got to go to YouTube. What's everyone doing over there? It's not good. The audio is awful. Go to youtube.com/no-meat-athlete. Plant-based space is always there. She insists on being on Instagram. she says, loves her press, uses it every time. Run clubs usually always have every pace. Running clubs help, she's saying, for the running habit.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a good tip. Yeah, if you're like
That was a good
motivated
tip.
by other people, or even if you're not, like I never considered myself that motivated by other people, and I prefer running by myself. I thought, and still do, but I don't know. If you start going to a running club, like it just makes you run once a week, and it makes it fun because then you go get drinks afterward or whatever. It doesn't seem like a chore. It just seems like a fun thing to do. Good. Okay. So Mr. Jeffrey says, is Julia ever coming back? Julia still does content for us. Just more on sort of a freelance basis. Actually, I don't know exactly what the basis is. But she doesn't want to do social media anymore, which I get. So no, not in that role. But we need to figure out how to do social media, probably.
that we do.
Yeah.
In her absence, because she did it well. Yep.
For sure. Oh, Mr. Jeffrey meant from her trip. Is she on a trip? I don't know.
She's been in Mexico for a long time, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. And she got a dog there. Adopted.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she can chime in if she's still here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks everybody. This was fun. Nice different show.
Yes. Yeah. And like I said, we're not going to do Ask Me Anything every Wednesday. But we are still wanting to experiment with this whole thing, figure out still, like I said, how No Meat Athlete Radio fits in with this. Could we possibly do several live shows? Maybe not always us, but maybe one of us or none of us under the same sort of network and have a bunch of these things happening. Because in other spaces online, like Twitter spaces, but other niches, they'll do a whole lot of shows and they're all day long, different things happening, and they're live and they're recorded. So I'd like to get into more of that. I think it's an interesting direction for things, especially with this AI taking over the world. To have sort of human connection throughout the day, anytime you want, I think it's a great thing.
I thought you were going to suggest we just get AI to go live for us and sit back and
we could. I saw there's an app now that can have you look at the camera the entire time, even if you're off looking everywhere else. It just adjusts your eyes, and it doesn't look that creepy at all. Could be great.
That's funny.
Could be great. I still can't imagine we're ever going to do it because it would just it makes you not human anymore. You're just like it's not the real thing that's happening. So I can't imagine doing it, but it is happening.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question.
Okay.
So we're going live tomorrow for No Meat Athlete Radio. Do we want to tease that here, or do we want to have it be a surprise for when we're going to do it?
Oh, the time? And we kind of already did tease it.
Well, yeah, the time.
No. Yeah, that'd be good. Then we'll actually be committed to doing it. So 2 p.m. tomorrow, is that what we said?
Yes.
2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. We're going to do a No Meat Athlete Radio. That will be for No Meat Athlete Radio. I don't know how much live interaction there will be. I hope people will come still and comment. I think certainly we would shout some people's things out. I just don't know how it's gonna feel, but it'll be different. It'll be a live No Meat Athlete Radio, and we'll just do it and we'll see what happens. So please, if you see that notification at 2 p.m., just show up and come listen, and it'll be a little different content than Plant-Based Morning Show. We'll be talking all about Doug's pull-ups probably. I'll tell you about my my barbell training program that I've been on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be good. Aisha says here, yes, it'll be the same platforms. We'll use No Meat Athlete. I don't know if we use Plant-Based Morning Show account for it. We may for the Instagram. We may just use No Meat Athlete and then like one of our personal ones, perhaps. I hadn't thought about that, but it'll be on the same YouTube channel for sure.
Definitely. All right, let's wrap this up. But as we do, I want to give one final shout out to Plant-Based Space. This month is my vegan anniversary. Started with you two, and Ritual have been here a long time. So congratulations to you.
Wow.
Plant-Based Space, and it's an honor to be part of your journey.
And she likes your hair. That one day she did anyway. So that's probably an honor for her to get shouted out by you.
That's the only thing she's going to be known for is Instagram and one comment about my hair.
Yeah. She just listened to the podcast religiously when she was starting her vegan journey. Did you say that part?
No, I did not.
That's cool. I really like to hear that. I really forget that people do that or did that. Like, I don't know why. I guess it's easy. Maybe probably everyone has the same situation. It's really easy to just like forget that people actually care about stuff and listen to it. And I don't know. Anyway, Bianca likes the earlier time slot, so that's cool. I'm glad. That's a good reason for us to do it. I always like when Bianca can come to these. But anyway, we'll keep trying to mix it up, and we'll do the Wednesdays. Continue to do that at an earlier time. Reminder again: next week we will actually be off. We're not going to do any shows next week. Be a little chance to recharge, refresh. Kids are on spring break, so no shows. Okay.
All right.
But we'll see you twice tomorrow. We'll see you for the morning show tomorrow, and then No Meat Athlete Radio tomorrow, and then
double
Friday.
header.
All right. And then Friday we'll be back again.
I love it.
All right. Good.
All right.
Sounds
See
good.
you guys.
Bye.